The Honda S2000 is a roadster that was manufactured by Japanese automaker Honda between 1999 and 2009. First shown as a concept car at the Tokyo Motor Show in 1995, the production version was launched in April 1999 to celebrate the company's 50th anniversary. The S2000 is named for its engine displacement of 2 liters, carrying on in the tradition of the S500, S600, and S800 roadsters of the 1960s. Several revisions were made throughout the car's lifetime, including changes to the engine, gearbox, suspension, and interior and exterior. Officially 2 variants exist. The initial launch model was given the chassis code April 1, though cosmetically similar. The facelift version incorporated significant changes to the drivetrain and suspension. Production of the S2000 ceased in June 2009. In Japan, it was exclusively sold through the Honda Verno sales channel. Concept car. Introduced at the 1995 Tokyo Motor Show, the Honda Sport Study model concept car was the design study for the production S2000. The SSM was a rear-wheel drive roadster powered by a 2.0L inline 4-cylinder engine. It featured a rigid high-X bone frame which Honda claimed improved the vehicle's rigidity and collision safety. The concept car was constructed with aluminum body panels and featured a 50-50 weight distribution. The SSM appeared in many automotive shows for several years afterwards, hinting at the possibility of a production version, which Honda announced in 1999. First generation, the S2000 was introduced in 1999 for the 2000 model year and was given the chassis designation of April 1. It featured a front mid-engine, rear-wheel drive layout with power being delivered by a 1997 cc inline 4-cylinder DOHC-VTEC engine. The engine produced outputs of 177 euro 184 a kilowatt, and 208 euro 218 an Nm depending on the target market. The engine was mated to a 6-speed manual transmission and torsion limited slip differential. The S2000 achieved what Honda claimed as the world's top-level, high-performance 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine. Features include independent double wishbone suspension, electrically assisted steering and integrated roll hoops. The car featured 16-in wheels with Bridgestone Potenza SO2 tires. The compact and lightweight engine, mounted entirely behind the front axle, allowed the S2000 to achieve a 50-50 front-rear weight distribution and lower rotational inertia. An electrically powered vinyl top with internal cloth lining was standard, with an aluminum hardtop available as an optional extra. The 2001 model was largely unchanged, but Honda upgraded the radio and added a digital clock to the dashboard display. For the 2002 model year, suspension settings were revised and the plastic rear window was replaced by a glass unit incorporating an electric defroster. Other updates included slightly revised tail lamps, an upgraded radio, a leather gear shift knob and a revised engine control unit. The April 1 was manufactured up to 2003 at Honda's Takanizuma plant, alongside the Honda NSX and Honda Insight Hybrid. Second generation known as April 2, and in Europe as April 1 facelift, 2004 Euro 2009, the 2004 model S2000 underwent several significant changes. Production of the S2000 moved to Suzuka. The new model introduced 17-in wheels and Bridgestone RE050 tires along with a retuned suspension to reduce oversteer. The spring rates and shock absorber damping were altered and the suspension geometry modified to improve stability by reducing toe and changes under cornering loads. In the gearbox the brass synchronizers were replaced with carbon fiber. In addition, cosmetic changes were made to the exterior with new front and rear bumpers, revised headlight assemblies, new LED tail lights, and oval-tipped exhausts. Although all the cosmetic, suspension and most drivetrain upgrades were included, the European S2000 never had the option of the 2.2L engine, hence it's still designated as an April 1. It also included the introduction of a larger version of the F20C, F22C1, for the North American market. This larger engine gives rise to the chassis designation April 2 F22C1. The engine stroke was lengthened, increasing its displacement to 2,157 cc. At the same time, the readline and fuel cutoff were reduced from 8,800 rpm and 9,000 rpm to 8,000 rpm and 8,200 rpm respectively, mandated by the longer travel of the pistons. Peak torque increased 6% to 220 Nm at 6,800 rpm while power output remained unchanged, 177 kW at a low as 7,800 rpm. In conjunction with its introduction of the F22C1, Honda also changed the transmission gear ratios by shortening the first 5 gears and lengthening the 6. In 2006, the F22C1 was also introduced to the Japanese market, with slightly higher outputs and 221 Nm. The F20C continued in all other markets. The 2006 model introduced a drive-by-wire throttle, an electronic stability control system, new wheels, and one new exterior color, Laguna Blue Pearl. Interior changes included revised seats and additional stereo speakers integrated into the headrests. Club Razor, the 2008 model year marked the first time the S2000 was offered in more than one trim level in the United States. In addition to the base model, Honda offered a more track-oriented version of the S2000, distinguished by reduced weight, fewer amenities, and an increase in performance. The S2000 Club Racer made its world debut at the New York International Auto Show on April 4, 2007. Changes for the SEER included a lower ratio steering rack, stiffer suspension and all-new Bridgestone Potenza REO 70 tires, widened at the rear from 245/40 R17 to 255/40 R17. A revised body kit, composed of a redesigned front lip, and a large spoiler, were wind tunnel tested and claimed to reduce the overall coefficient of lift by 70–80%. The power folding soft top was removed and replaced with additional chassis bracing topped off with a tonneau cover, while the hard top, optional on other models, became a standard feature on the CR models while only available with yellow and black cloth interior. Finally, in an effort to reduce weight and lower the center of gravity, the spare tire was omitted and air conditioning and stereo were offered only as options. Net weight savings without the additional hardtop came to 41 kg relative to the standard model. The engine in the S2000 SEER was unchanged from the standard trim. Shigeru Uehara, the designer of the S2000, stated that the SEER was positioned between the Type S and a hypothetical Type R. Production volume of less than 2,000 units was expected. Honda continued to offer both the standard and CR versions unchanged for the 2009 model year. GT, in the United Kingdom, the 2009 model was offered in both Roadster and GT trim. The GT featured a removable hardtop and an outside temperature gauge. On the road prices of these trims were £27,300 and £27,850 respectively. Ultimate Edition and GT Edition 100, the S2000 Ultimate Edition and GT Edition 100 were limited versions of the S2000 released to commemorate the end of production. Both included Grand Prix white body color, removable hard top, graphite-colored alloy wheels, red leather interior with red coloring for stitching on the gear lever-gator. The Ultimate Edition was unveiled at the 2009 Geneva Motor Show and went on sale in March 2009. The GT Edition 100 was a limited run of 100 units released for the UK market. In addition to the Ultimate Edition's specification, it featured a black S2000 badge and a numbered plaque on the kick plate indicating which vehicle in the series it was. Specifications, dimensions are approximate and vary across markets and years for the same model. Reviews and awards. The S2000 has received much praise from critics and motoring journalists and has received favorable reviews from such publications as Car and Driver. Highlighted are the high output of the engine, the high readline, the balanced handling, and the smooth gearbox. User surveys have named the S2000 as a favorite for overall customer satisfaction. The S2000 was on Car and Driver's 10 Best list for 2000, 2001, 2002 and 2004. The S2000 was the highest-ranked model in the J.D. Power and Associates Vehicle Dependability Study Premium Sports Car class for 2004, 2006, and 2008 and consistently held one of the top 3 positions. The S2000 was ranked number 1 in the BBC Top Gear survey in 2003, 2005, and 2006. The S2000 was ranked as Best Affordable Sports Car by US News & World Report in 2008 and 2009. The S2000 was on Edmunds Consumer's Most Wanted Vehicles list for 2004, 2005 and 2007. The S2000 was one of Jalopnik's Best 10 Cars of the Decade. The S2000 was one of Road and Track's best all-around sports cars. Sales and production. After several years of steady production, sales of the Roadster began falling dramatically starting in 2006, and the trend accelerated during the 2008 automotive industry crisis. In 2008, only 2,538 units were sold in the US, a 74% decline from the 2002 sales peak. In November of that year, for the first time since its launch, only 19 US 2000s were sold nationwide during a calendar month. Production of the S2000 ceased in June 2009 and plans for a successor were scrapped in the aftermath of the automotive industry crisis. In its January 2009 announcement of the vehicle's production end, Honda reported that worldwide sales through the end of 2008 totaled 110,673 units. Note: no new cars were produced in 2010 and 2011. Sales represent clearance of residual inventory. Figures are not directly comparable as they are obtained through different methodologies in different markets. References. External links: official Honda S2000 sites for the US and Japan, Honda S2000 at DMOZ.